Hey, hello, everybody, family and friends. I'm not doing nothing. It's cold today. I was going to go to the gym. I went out the door and it was cold. You know what I did? I went to Taco Bell and I got me a nacho. I think it's called a nacho cheese taco. I got that. And I said, I'm not going to no gym. It's cold out here. So I've only went one day this week. Shame on me. But that's okay. The good Lord let me live to see next week. Guess what? I'll go next week. And hopefully I get in 3 days since I only got in 2 days this week. But anyhow, I just wanted to come on here because I didn't have anything to do and chit chat. Hey Diane. Anyway, because I didn't have anything else to do, so I said I was just gonna talk about my beginning of being a truck driver. I was 24 years old, 1976, when I climbed up in a truck and my friend decided he would be willing to teach me to drive. But before I even got in the truck, he told me, you go up there and get your chauffeur's license. Because when I started messing around with the truck, it was a chauffeur license. It wasn't no CDL. It was just it was just called chauffeur's license. That's all you had to do. I think you had to be 21 years old and have a chauffeur's license. And that's what I did. Back then it was a cab over truck, and they looked like a little pumpkin. So we would go back and forth to New Jersey. I think I was back then. Now I wasn't hired, but the man, I can't remember his name. I see his face. But we got to talk about 1976, so I see his face a little bit. But he said I could ride, and it was called Eastway Trucking, I think. It was down near, it was down in the area we call Camp Sutton here in Monroe. And it was near, I can't think of the name of the company it was near, but another friend of mine worked there. They called him Watergate. And he used to be there. And we'd go to New Jersey and back, and I just wanted to learn how to change the gears. And I rode a while, but then finally he said, you want to drive? And I said, yes. So what he would do, he would get the truck going. He would slide the seat back. Now back then I was like a size, 10, 12, something like that. Didn't weigh but 26 pounds, 130 pounds, something like that. And he would slide the seat back. And I'd crawl over the doghouse, and then I would get in the seat, and he would get out the seat, because he had to get the truck going, because I didn't know how to change gears at that time. So, this light is in my face. Let me see if I can, I can't move it. Let me see if I can move it. I'm sitting here in this sunroom, and the sun is setting in the west right now. Let me see if I can get it positioned. Oh, this light gonna be on my face, I think. I don't think I can move it. So just bear with me with having a dark side and a light side. That's the only thing I can say, because I don't know how to edit or anything. I'm just sitting here. Okay, I can move over. That's what I did, move over. Anyway, so we used to go back and forth to New Jersey, and I remember we would go eat lunch at the bars up there. And I used to love eating from the bar, because I'd never been into a bar before. As a matter of fact, the only place I have ever been before I got in the truck was like to Myrtle Beach. I had been to New Jersey, because I used to go to New Jersey and stay up there in the summer with my brother and his wife, and New York, of course. And I think that's the only places I had ever been. So we was going back and forth to New Jersey, and And like I said, he would get that truck going, and I would slide over in the seat, and I'd slide it back up, and I just ride down the road, on straight highway, because I didn't know how to change gears. I didn't really know how to stop it or anything. And he would sit over there and let me drive. And if he knew could drive like 100 miles or so, enough for him to lay down and get a nap, he would lay down and get a nap while I just drive, because I didn't have to stop or start. All I had to do was drive and hit the brakes. But it's like driving a car. You know how to drive a car. So you're just driving a truck. You didn't have to do nothing special. But as time went by, he started teaching me how to change the gears. Now, back then, there was no automatic. You had a clutch. You had the brake pedal, the clutch, and of course the accelerator. And it was a 10-speed, a straight 10-speed, and I'm assuming it was a Cummins, because back then most companies, they had the Cummins engine in there. Anyway, so he would teach me how to you go to first gear, and then you had to get the RPMs up so much to get it to go in the next gear. And I'm trying to use the clutch and change the gear and stuff. Actually, my brother Mike, he used to try to teach me how to drive the straight drive. Actually, he's the one who taught me, because he let me drive his cars. I'm gonna take these glasses off. He let me drive his cars, and he always had a fast car. When I let out the clutch, that car would take off. Anyway, but on the truck, I was trying to do the same thing. You mash the clutch in and mash the accelerator and change the gear all at the same time. Oh, and I would have that truck. I was scraping the gears, trying to get it in there. And he said, you got to get the RPM up and whatever. So I'd rev that RPM up all the way to about probably 25 or 30 to get it in gear, so I can get enough time where I could maybe try to get it in gear. So when he saw that I couldn't get that together, he said, well, now you can change the gear without using the clutch, which that's how I learned how to change the gears. You get your speed up and get the RPMs up, and then you could change the gear without using the clutch. So that's how I had to learn how to change those gears. And then you go from first gear, second gear, third, fourth, well, not really first, second, third, fourth. Yeah. Second, you didn't go to the low gear. You went to second, third, fourth, fifth, and then you flip the button, and then you go through the other gears. And but I used to love it. I was afraid, but I also loved it because it was something new for me, and I always wanted to know how to change the gears. But after that, we did that a while, and then the next thing he started teaching me to do is once I kind of got the gears in order, he started teaching me. He said, I'm going to let you go across the weigh station. And the scales, he said, now when you go across, you go slow. And he said, don't stop, just ease across slow, because they can weigh you as you go. So I did that, and he told me, and when you stop, don't stop hard, hit the brake lightly, he said, because you don't want to shake cause the scales to shake, because they might call you in, like if they know you don't know what you're doing. Anyway, and I did that. And then he also told me, when I left to pull off the scale, just keep it in first gear. So I just went off the scale slow in first gear, because I didn't want to change no gear on the scale and mess up. But I will say this, on down the road, I got good with gears. Didn't scrape no gears every now and then. But anyway, so I would get on down the road, and he taught me how to do that. And it took me, I think, 1976, 1977, because I wasn't in the truck a year before he decided to take a break away from the truck, and then he started doing when they building a building, he started running a bulldozer. So I decided, well, I want to know how to do the bulldozer too. But I was on that bulldozer because they was grading the land up there, the airport up there off Airport Road, that airport up there, the Monroe Airport. They was grading that land, and I wanted to be a bulldozer, operator bulldozer, because he made pretty good money. And then I got up on that hill. That bulldozer was going up, and it was up, and it was just moving, you know. And it felt like it was going to turn over, so I decided that wasn't for me. So I got a job. I got a job at it's a drum place. I think it was called Selma, who you put liner. I used to put liner. No, I used to make the, put the cloth over the sponge that went into the drum case itself. So I did that like a year and a half, almost 2 years. And then he put an application at this place. He used to work with this man. There used to be Johnson Motor Lines. I think they used to haul freight to, I'm sure some of you all will remember the store, W.T. Grant. I think they hauled stuff, Woolworth. W.T. Grant Woolworth. You have to bear with me because that's been years ago, and I am I'm hitting 70 years old, so I can't remember all this stuff, but I do remember he got on with that guy. He took me up there, and I put in the application and everything, and the guy told him, he said, I will hire her. He said, but if she ever have to go somewhere by herself, she gonna have to be able to go by herself, back up that trailer and unload and do the job. At that time, I had not learned how to back up because he took me through steps of teaching me how to drive truck. Because I guess you can say I was illiterate to that. I didn't know what I was doing. Shoot. It was years later before I learned how to read a map. So anyway, but the man hired me, and this was in August of 1979. I worked for this company. It was called Tawi Leyland Express, and they had another name, DTMS. But I worked from them from 1979 to 1983 because they went under. But anyway, so I was driving a cab over Steel, the one that looked like a pumpkin. And during that time, we was running to Chicago, Illinois, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Let me see, what was the name of that place? Monitor Bay or something in Wisconsin. We was going to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and we also did pickups in what's the name? Anoka, Minnesota. It's on the other side of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Well, we were running back and forth up there. And so I did that, and then during that time, in 79, that's when he decided to teach me how to drive a truck down the mountain. We was on our way to Chicago, and I think I was on, what's the name of this mountain? It's on Interstate 26. It's called Saluda Mountain. And I was going down that hill. I started crying because I was afraid, the truck going left or right and stuff. I was afraid because I didn't understand. I don't know why I didn't understand gravity. I guess because I was in a big truck, 18-wheeler, and it's high off the ground, and it looked like when you go on the curb, I'm thinking it's going to fall over. But, the gravity holds the truck down. But I didn't have much sense when it comes to driving a truck. I don't care how much I learned or didn't learn in school. That wasn't matching up to me. I'm still trying to get out of this sun. That wasn't matching up to me. So, and plus too, I was afraid. I'm doing some adjustments. But anyway, and I started crying. And, God speaks to us in all ways. And something told me, and when I say something told me, that means the Holy Ghost was talking to me. He was saying, you better stop crying. How you gonna see where you going if tears in your eyes? You can't see, girl. You better stop crying and get this truck down that hill. So I stopped crying. I just slowed down and held on for dear life. But I got that truck down that hill without having an accident. And I wasn't on the bad side of the hill because we was on our way to Chicago. And that hill wasn't bad. I'm still trying to get the sun because that sun is setting. Anyway, and that hill, it was going no, well, I would say west, because Chicago was west from Charlotte, and that was the easy part because there was one day I was gonna have to go down the hill on the east side, and that's coming back home, and that hill, it was longer coming back than going. So when I did that, this other guy used to work with us, he told me, he said, well, Wanda, well, back then they called me Body Heat because that was my CB handle, Body Heat. He said, Body Heat, look, when if you have to change the gear to say down to 6th gear, climbing the hill, shift it down one more time to go down the hill, the lower you shift it. Okay. So I did that because the lower you got your gear shifted down, the truck don't speed up as fast. So, and you had to use your brake too to kind of control your speed. And back then, we did not have Jake brakes. I think only owner operators had Jake brakes. Anyhow, so, and I went down that hill the way he said. But I'm going to fast forward a little bit. As time went on and I got better at driving the truck, because we was going to Chicago, in Wisconsin, Minnesota, like 2 times one week and 3 times the next week, because it was mostly drop and hook. Now we went to Green Bay, Wisconsin. Now we had to pick up because we picked up pinto beans, and we would take those pinto beans all the way to Perry, Georgia. Let me see. Yeah, that was Perry, Georgia, I believe. No, it was on the other side of Atlanta. But I can't remember the name of that town because Perry, Georgia is where we took the lawnmowers at. But anyway, and all that being said, I lost my thought too. I finally learned how to go up that mountain and down that mountain because he had told me, he taught me later on after I got a little bit better to, don't downshift. He said, leave it in high gear when I go down the hill. He said, because the quicker I get down, the less I'll have to hold my brakes. Because back then, like I said, we didn't have Jake brakes, and the brakes would get hot. They'll get hot on you. I'm still trying to move this around. I'm just going to leave the sun in my face. And the brakes would get hot on you, if you hold them too tight. And he taught me just to put a little pressure on them. He told me don't take my foot off the brake and put it back on. He said, leave my foot on the brake with just a little bit of pressure. So I didn't want air getting in there, pumping them on and off, because that would get them hot, get them smoking and stuff. So that's what I did. And so I did that, and I had to unload trailers, because we go to Chicago to, I don't know how many stores, sometimes 10, 11 stores in Illinois, all over Illinois. And I had to unload, and that's how I got muscles, I got strong. And it would be cold out there sometime. At the end of the day, after we unloaded all day up there in the winter and wind blowing, that wind be coming off of that, the Michigan, that river. And so that air would be cold, because when you get to the motel that night to stay the night, if you had to stay the night, or take a shower at the truck stop, and you take your clothes off, and I would have on thermal pants. You take your clothes off and put your hands on your skin, it just felt like pure ice. And because I remember one time we had went to Green Bay, Wisconsin. We was on our way back, and the truck broke down. And back then there were no cell phones. We just had CBs. And we finally got out and walked to the we were leasing, the company was leasing from Rollins Leasing. I don't think they're no longer around. We walked there, and by the time we got to this, to that shop, I think my feet got freezer burn. I'm not sure, because they were numb, and I was so cold. I think that day it was like 5 degrees. I don't know if it was 5 below or 5, but it was cold. And I'll never forget that. And I'm kind of fast forwarding through a lot of stuff, but I just wanted to tell you this part of my journey of being a truck driver. I never did go to truck driving school because I had his friend told me, because now in 1976, 77, after he drove for the Eastway Trucking for a while, then he started driving for this man out of Marshfield, and I think his name was Bobby Griffin. And he had a cab over, it was a Kenworth, and it had a 4 1/4 engine, which was a 13-speed. And I drove that some too, didn't know nothing about nothing. But boy, one time we was on our way to Amarillo, Texas, I believe. And I went in the curve because we had swinging beef on. And I don't remember when they put that beef on that trailer, which is a refrigerator trailer, just like a refrigerator in your house, but it's a trailer. And it's got refrigeration to it. It freezes or either keeps stuff cold. And the beef, it would be hanging from the ceiling of the truck. And back then, it didn't have the hook on the bottom. So that meat, it would just swing, And when you go on the curb, you're supposed to go to the curb slow. Because if you didn't, all that beef, it was go to one side and you go on the curve too fast and you could turn over. And I know I went in the curve a little too fast and he jumped out of the bed. He didn't know what was going on. And he told me to slow down because at one time, and this here was before we went to Amarillo, Texas, we was going to Florida. And I was driving that truck and he had woke up and he said, if you don't slow down, I think I was going 110 miles an hour. Because still stupid, not knowing anything about trucking, not knowing that I could have a blowout with the front tire and not knowing what to do. I just did a lot of dumb things at the beginning. God has been with me the whole time of my trucking career. And I will say, from 1975 to 2018, when I retired, out of all those years, the Lord has been with me and blessed me and brought me out of some things. I'm going to keep telling you about this story, but I just wanted to share this much to you today about how it started with me driving a truck and how I drove, and the person that taught me and the person that taught me to drive a truck. Back then, they called him Different Strokes. And he taught me well. He taught me how to work. He taught me how to talk to people, because I didn't have any kind of manners of talking to people, and it wasn't nothing for me to cuss somebody if they said something wrong to me. So like I said, God then brought me a long ways, and I just thank him so much for protecting me and watching over me. And of course, my mother taught me better. She taught me better than the way I acted. But I was just out there thinking that truck drive was supposed to be hard and I supposed to cuss, smoke, and whatever, stupid. When you're young, you do stupid stuff, and I was one of those persons that did stupid stuff. So, but you grow as you get older, and as your relationship gets stronger with the Lord, you change and you do better. And I thank God for that, because I tell you, I was a hot mess. Anyhow, but I'm gonna try to leave it from right here about the my beginning of my trucking days, because I just have a lot to say about it, and I used to want to write about it and write a book about it, but I decided I'm not a good writer, but I can talk. So I decided to come on here on Facebook. I'm also going to share this on YouTube because I want to tell my story. I feel like I want whoever listens to it, I want them to hear what I went through. Because I went through some things, been called names and all kind of things. But today I just wanted to talk about the two companies. Well, actually, I didn't told you about 3 companies that I sat in their trucks and drove their trucks, and started my career as a truck driver. And But I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you this, though. At the end of my trucking days, I didn't mess up the thing. I didn't mess the thing up. Anyway, at my end of my trucking days, this was, I'm going to try to hold it up. I'm going to try to hold it up. This was part of my retirement, you know, what, a little gift that I got. Retirement gift. By the time I retired, they wasn't giving out things that they used to give out to some drivers, because some drivers got lots of money and stuff. They skipped me, you know, even though I was a safe driver. Excuse me, safe driver and everything. They skipped me. They did away with that. But anyhow, I just wanted to tell you about the trucking days, and I wanted to also, I think I told you earlier that I went to Taco Bell and ate because I was supposed to be cooking today. I'm still going to cook. The only thing I'm cooking is some steak burgers and some French fries. I just don't want to cook because my knees is hurting. I hurt my knee the other day when I was coming in the house. I was trying, you know how we do. We don't want to go back and forth outside, and I had all my bags in my hand, and then I set some down in the chair, unlocked the door, and then picked them back up. I picked up 2 bags of ice I had in my right hand. And however I stepped in that door, I must have twisted myself or whatever, and my left knee felt like it tore apart. Because I have a bulging disc, slip disc, however you want to call it, in my back, in my lower back. And certain ways I can move sometimes, that affects my knees. But my knees been hurting, so I've been putting this Voltaren on it and laying, you know, kind of sitting around, laying around, trying to, because normally when I sit around and lay around 2-3 days, it get better and I can be back on my way. That's another reason I didn't go to the gym today too, because my knees were still hurting, but I'll push myself and go. But that cold weather that was out there, I said, I'm not going to no gym. I'm going to go in there and get a little sweaty, come back out. It's going to be cold and I might end up getting sick. So, but guess what, y'all? I will be back probably next week and continue this story of my journey of becoming a truck driver. Okay? But I'm going to end this video right now, and I hope Ariane and Diane, I hope you all enjoy it, and anybody else watch this video, I hope you enjoy it. But I just want to tell my story, you know. Can't nobody else tell it for me. I'd rather tell it myself because I know exactly what happened. There's some people, I imagine a lot of them is passed on, I'm not sure. But I do want to say this too, because I said it earlier. When I was running the road from 1976 to 1990, I went by body heat. But by the time I got a job and started working at Coca-Cola, I changed my handle to Big Red. So we'll talk about some of that too. But I'm glad you all watched, and I hope you all have a blessed day. I love you. May the Lord bless you. Peace out.